Welcome, Wapplers from around the world. This is our March 2025 Wappler Meetup. If any Wapplers out there have a special trick, something that works really well for them, or a site you'd like to show off, we'd love to promote what you've got on the future Wappler Meetup, so please reach out to Mark One. We hold these Wappler Meetups on the second Friday of every month at 4 p.m. or 1800 Netherlands time. You can keep track of the meetups on the community. And today we have a very special guest. Mr. Brian English is going to talk to us about AI. Take it away, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to give you a little bit of history on this, really, I suppose. This actually started as a project to do with a translation matrix, and it sort of went sideways into AI, and I never got the translation matrix system finished. But it brought me into ChatGPT. Then I thought, why not add another one in? I produced 2 or 3 different extensions for AI, and I thought this is crazy because the interface is pretty similar. So I've just integrated them all into it. And also today will be the first time you'll see DeepSeek added to that as well, which I did a few weeks ago, which I'll publish the NPM for that basically after the meeting. So unless anybody's got any urgent questions, I'll go on. I'll just say that somebody's asked what AI models are integrated. At the moment, there is ChatGPT, Gemini, another one that's name I can't remember, DeepSeek. Come on, I'll do it the easy way. I'm just having a quick peek at my computer here. ChatGPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, and Claude. I'm currently looking at using DALL-E to do image generation, but that's quite a different technique, so I'll not discuss that in a minute. But if we've got time at the end, I'll just tell you what's happening in relation to that. I'm just going to share a screen if you don't mind, and hopefully you can now all see a Wappler screen. Is that right?
Yes.
Brilliant. So another one at the door. Yeah, so anyway, I'm just going to say thanks for everybody turning up, and the numbers are looking a little better today than they have been in previous meetings, which I think is really great. For anybody who's watching on catch-up video, can I just take the opportunity to say you'd be really welcome to come and join us. As Mark said, there's no such thing as a stupid question. If you're feeling a little bit shy or perhaps feel, well, that's for the experts or whatever, you couldn't be further from the truth. This is about helping other Wappler users, and no matter what your skill level is or your experience, you will be welcomed at these meetings. So please get involved, give yourself the opportunity to ask questions, and that way you'll get more out of it. And to be honest, we'll get more out of it as well. So, right, here we go. Basically, I've just written a little page here to try and save you having to watch me doing my pretty laborious and poor typing. Just got some
I'm
buttons.
not seeing his screen.
You're not seeing it?
No.
Right, hang on a moment, because this
Test. Here's Wappler.
Are you still just seeing the Wappler screen, are you?
I'm just seeing everybody.
I'm seeing all-in-one AI demo with loads of coloured.
Yeah, and is that in a?
Yeah, I'm in the browser right now. I'm seeing it all correctly.
Everybody happy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'll just explain what I've got here. It's a very, very simple interface. I haven't implemented everything like temperature, etc. But I've got 2 boxes marked prefix and text. And I did that for a reason. It's easy enough to throw a question to one of these AI models, classic, what is Wappler? Which you can see there. And that's going to give you a response, but you're not going to get a lot of context around that. So for the first demo, I'm just going to ask the simple question, what is Wappler? I'm not going to give it any prefix. I'm going to ask for 100 tokens, keep it short, and I'm going to submit. It takes a few seconds, and we get that response back from the AI. And how have we done that? Well, basically, this is just a standard form, and that form calls a API action. Multi-AI module. I've passed the prefix and the question as text with a space between them. So they're concatenated once they actually hit the server. Max tokens I'm sending as a post variable. I've set it to temperature 0.5. That makes it more creative rather than factual. I might have that the other way around. And at the moment, I'm using ChatGPT and I'm using GPT 3.5 Turbo for this demo here, purely because it's a lot cheaper than ChatGPT 4. And with this AI module, if I want to pick another engine, I can just literally pick it from the drop list. Ignore DALL-E, that's not fully implemented. But if I wanted to use DeepSeek, for instance, I can just change that. And then if I was to then rerun that demo that we had before, oh, for some reason it's come up on the wrong screen. Resubmit that again. You'll notice DeepSeek is very slow compared with its competitors at the moment, whether it's overloaded, bad tech, or whatever. But you can wait 15 to 20 seconds to get a response for that. But the response is exactly the same as all the other engines. It returns that response. So that is at its most basic level. Anybody got any questions at all on that at this stage? While I take a quick slurp of tea.
Okay, I'd like to start with two. Can you explain a little bit about temperature and tokens and their importance and what they do?
Yeah, sure. I mean, tokens is just purely down to how to use AI, you have to buy credits. You buy tokens. And if you just give it an unlimited number of tokens, if I was to say, give it 1,000 tokens here, click submit, the response will be a lot longer because tokens is basically the length of the question plus the length of the response. So eventually when DeepSeek gets around to it, we should see what is Wappler, but a much, much longer summary of that. While that's still thinking about it, temperature, it's about whether the response is, shall we say, creative or factual. You see, we've got the response back there now. Lot longer response because we gave it 1,000 tokens. If you was perhaps asking for a blog post, which is something I'll be showing in a minute, you can use a temperature to dictate whether that response tries to be a nice flowery creative type of language, or it wants to be very strict and factual. And that is the temperature setting, which is fairly common across all of the AIs. They all have that sort of setting.
So what numbers are creative and what numbers are specific?
Thanks for that one, Mark. Most of them are in the range. I mean, it actually shows you here. If we go into Claude, for instance, it tells you here, low temperature is analytical, high temperature is creative. So I got it the wrong way around. I know it's talking before. So at the moment we've set a temperature of 0.5, which is absolute mid-range for Claude. If we were to drop that down to 0.1, then that response would be a lot more analytical. If we were to push it up to the one end, then that response would be much more creative. So it's really relevant if you're looking at page content, or you might even be trying to write book content or whatever. Different AI services, different ranges. Gemini is 1 to 2, and if I remember, ChatGPT is 0 to 2 anyway. If you set those ranges too high or too low, the actual AI module will just clip them. So if you put 2.5, it'll just clip that down to 2 anyway. but it allows you to give a different type of response. So is that what you needed, Mark?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, brilliant.
Brian,
Yes,
can I have two questions?
you most certainly can.
This this drop down while you're in the this screen now, the drop
Yep.
down list at the right while you're in the I forgot, while you build the API.
Yeah.
This AI and the drop down, the two drop downs. Can you move them and give them to your web, not to the web page?
Well,
And
can you
send-
send the AI that you want dynamically from the web page? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is actually a dynamic setting,
Perfect.
and that
That's why
allows you
I saw
literally, what you do is you specify the service and then the engine. So perhaps you might,
perfect.
give the example there, GPT, GPT 3.5 turbo, and that will pick those up.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
I added that primarily because I think they've just released another Chat GPT engine, haven't they? Chat GPT 4.0 or something.
4.5. 4.5.
4.5 is it? That's not in the AI system yet. So if you wanted to use that, you could use the dynamic setting to be able to call that engine, which is not currently pre-programmed within a multi-AI, because I haven't got around to doing it yet. So that was the main reason why I put it in, but it would allow you to potentially call other engines as well. So yeah.
Perfect. One more.
Happy with that? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. But on the web page you call, can you switch the other screen,
Yep.
the page? The answer, I'm wrong
No,
or
not
I
that
don't
one.
know.
Sorry. Oh, wait a minute. That one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Now you were, what was the one? DeepSeek. You were in this answer is with 1,000 tokens with
Yes.
DeepSeek, yeah?
Yep.
Yes, I think that while you were also on DeepSeek, the previous, you had 100 tokens. And I think that the answer was stopping at the third line. Wappler,
Yep.
almost at the Wappler include
I'll just call up the
one.
I'll just do the 100 again for you. Yep.
Is incorrect answer. Not from you. Understand what I mean? I didn't catch this very small. I didn't try to read all of this. No.
There is still the odd mistake comes through on all of the AI engines. There's sort of no Wappler, but they're not 100% on it. I got one the other day that said that it was specialized for Go and Rust, which obviously is not the case. So
they're not trying to summarize in 100 tokens the answer.
Well, it is there.
That's correct.
Yeah, maximum 100 tokens that would use there. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Brian, we have a question in the chat about, is this built in AI? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Was this built with the Wappler version 7? My apologies.
Well, I'm running 7 beta now. To be honest, I haven't touched Wappler 6 version since Wappler 7 beta came out. So yes, this is running in beta 20 because I thought I'm just not quite going to risk putting beta 21 on briefly before the meeting.
Yeah,
that is asking for trouble. But yeah, it's running on 7 beta 20 at the moment. We can see that down here. We see 7 beta 20. It was originally written in beta in 6, but it runs absolutely fine in 7.
In your API, do you need to plan for handling any error handling?
Sorry, I'm not following you there, John. So sorry, yeah, Mark.
No worries. Is there a chance that you'll get an error back from one of the services that you'd have to manage?
Yeah, you should do. I'll just I'll just pop the code up. Probably the easiest way. Basically, everything's done by promises. Because you've got a length of time before we get a response from your inquiry, then you can't just send the API call and just assume that you've got the answer back, because you've got to wrap that call in a promise. So the whole system waits till it gets a reply, and through that you can we can wrap some error in. So where are we? Multi-AI. I'll just drop it down to the code's actually very simple. Really is very, very simple. But if you look at the AI service, when we've got it here, you'll see here we're dropping it, we're wrapping it in as a sync, and we're telling it to wait, and we're returning the response as a promise, which means that if we get a mistake, we will get an error message back, as opposed to nothing. That okay?
Yes. How are you managing the error? Is that in the JS?
It will simply just be in the JSON return. Yeah. Basically, if you look, all of them are common format, so you'll get a result back, and it'll tell you the service, the engine, the max tokens, temperature, that the AI call was for. Language is for deep L, which I'll come to in a minute. So basically, you'll be able to detect the error by the response, because a response will be an error response.
Very good.
So let's go back to where we were. Right, so that was content generator. This is where the importance of prefix and the text is. You wouldn't need to do these in two separate fields, but it helps me demonstrate it better. I've asked that same question, what is Wappler? But this time I've asked it to output as content only in HTML markup. I only want the body section with no body tags or backticks. And if I submit that, maybe a few more tokens would help. We're back in GPT now, so everything's a lot faster than it was in DeepSeek. It's not giving us very much back at all, is it? I would expect a much bigger response on that. But basically what that does is that just would strip out any HTML tags that are in there. And because I'm displaying this in text format, this isn't an HTML, then if there was any markup in there at all, then that would show up in there. So we know that we're getting a clean, straightforward text response. Any questions? No, all happy. Just go a stage further then, using that same what is Wappler. I've said output content only, etc., etc. But I've just tagged on the end output in French. And what that should is we should get that response from our AI, but it should be automatically translated into another language. And there we are. We see we've got now a response, but we've got that response coming back in French. So it's going to help you towards doing multi-AI. There is nothing that would stop you having a dynamically driven site with pages in, let's say, English, but being able to pass that to the AI to do a translation to then give you a translated version of that page, which you could, I would save then, because I wouldn't want to be burning through tokens. But you could actually have an API action which said, take the page, see if we have a stored translation. If not, translate it, otherwise show the stored translation. And we can actually use AI to build a multilingual site through that. Okay. And I say that's, sorry, go on.
How do you store translations, for example?
Well, it's returned. Actually, well, I'll just pop open the dev console. I'll just rerun that. All right, network. You'll see there that you'll get a JSON response as you would with any other API action. And your result is here. So you can literally take that response, excuse me, drop it into a database field. So what you could have is, rather than having a single page of English text, your page content could be a subtable, let's say, of your main page, and then you could create multiple entries within that subtable. So you would have English, French, German, Dutch, whatever, Greek in there, and the user's browser settings or a user selection would dictate. You could program to pull the appropriate page from the database, or to say, if it's not there, create it, save it, and then put it forward. So you build a multilingual system through doing that. Does that make sense?
That's a really good idea, Brian, because what you can do is just have, I don't know, 30 languages that you say your site is going to work in, but you don't actually do any of the translating until it's required.
Absolutely. You can translate on the fly, but
only
I would say,
and
just store it, because it would be crazy, I think, first of all, to just burn through tokens and translate every time. But secondly, it's going to be faster because there is that delay while it does the translation. So if you've actually saved it, then the assistant can go and look and say, right, I want page 27. Does it have a French translation? Yeah, I'll show the French. If not, let's take the English one, translate it, and then save it, then display it, and then it's there for the next time.
Excellent. I've never thought of AI for doing translating.
Do you know what a lot of this is? AI is not about what AI can do. AI is about what you can dream up to use its capabilities, because there are a lot of things. Text improver, I'll use as an example. It's just something I cut off the internet as an example of really, really bad way of writing a letter. And this idea came from TMR. Speaking with him, and he said, oh, what I do is, my customers have an interface where they can write an email and send it out to various clients. And I've added your AI in. And what I've said to them is, before you send your email, just simply say, make this better. And he said, what happens is it rewrites these emails to be much more eloquently written. And then they send them out there. He loves it. The customers love it. Really, really easy to do. So I've got this really, really bad bit of text there. I'll just blow it up a little bit further so you can see it a little clearer. Is that better? If you read this text, it's, yeah, hardly a good complaint letter, shall we say. But if I send it off to GPT, it will completely rewrite it in a better style. Actually, it hasn't.
The stupid cow didn't have a clue.
Yeah, well, why on earth is
they fixed the typo?
Yeah, please improve this content only body section. Yeah, well, I wonder whether it's just, I'll try different AI out of interest. I mean, I've done that. I ran through this whole presentation when I wrote this about a week ago or thereabouts, and it did a lovely rewrite on that. Let's just try Claude. We haven't done anything with Claude yet. Let's try that again. That's better. It just shows different AI engines do much better jobs than others. That's what Claude's rewrite of this is, to give it a better structure, a better wording. So in just to prove your output of messages that you are putting out to them. If you've got an automated system, you can actually just run it through the AI with this. please improve this clause before it goes out. It could be completely automated if you want, but it does do a really good job.
That's awesome. You just mentioned something. You used the word please. I read an article the other day about being very specific and direct of what you want from AI, or being more personable and using please and thank you. What is your experience with communicating with AI?
To be honest, I do that because that's the kind of guy I am. I don't think it actually matters, but it didn't seem to have made any difference anyway. But it's sort of I type how I type to AI as if I was talking to a person.
Okay.
Because I think that's the way we're going to be. I mean, they're already saying AI is going to be clever with us within 12 months. So before the Terminator guys come and the robots walk down the driveway, I would like them to come down and go, "Oh, you're the nice guy."
I always say thank you at the end of a request.
Oh, I don't say thank you, but I generally say please. Yeah.
That's the kind of guy John is.
Damn troublemaker.
Very
now, a good, how many times have people complained about what a mess pasting Word documents into
anything?
So this is part of a speech that my 15-year-old grandson gave, a best man speech at his father's recent wedding. It's Word. If you want to look, the reason why I put this in SummerNote rather than a straight text box is purely so I can do that. So you can see it is a Word document in there. And I'm just going to zoom that page back in a bit. If we hit submit in there, I might truncate this at 1,000 tokens, but there we are. It's taken it. And that is a text field. So if there had been any formatting in there, you would be able to see it. It's not an HTML field. And you can see it's actually pulled all of that formatting out of that Word document. So you can use AI to clean up your text before it's pasted into things. A little bit difficult to do with SummerNote. I'm not quite sure how you would do that. You'd probably have to have a separate box to say to people, if you're going to paste from Word, paste it in here first. So it cleans it up, and then you could have a copy the clipboard button and then paste it in SummerNote, and that would clean that and remove all of the Word formatting that has been a nightmare for most developers, I think. So just an idea of one way we could do that. Everybody happy with that?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Oh, right. Yeah. Just straightforward translation rather than as we had before. Without commentary, translate to French, and that's so rather than just asking it to do something as we did before, what is Wappler? Give me a response in French. We can simply, as we would do it in the AI translation I spoke to me about before, that's what we would do. We just simply send that English, they say blog page or whatever it might be, website page to it, and it will give us a straightforward translation into French. Let's say it's a little bit because I sort of started with the idea of translation system before I went into AI. So that's where these ideas come from. Straightforward enough. Blog post, another idea. If you want to write a blog system, or you have blog type pages on your site and you want to keep them clean, keep them refreshed, keep Google interested by, regular content change, etc., then why not regenerate your pages using AI every couple of weeks or whatever, and see what it comes up with. So yeah, I've got write a blog about the holidays in Crete, format as HTML content. Take a little bit longer, this I would imagine. There we are, and gives you a nice little summary about what it's like at Big Creek, because I was there last year. And I can create a blog pages for you. So rather than having to go back and refresh them manually every so often, you can actually just get it to, you could even set it to automatically regenerate every 90 days or 30 days or whatever, a blog page about a particular topic, and it will just tell Google that your site is fresh, regularly maintained, etc. And hopefully keep the ranking of your site higher than it would have been otherwise. We're all happy? We're all gone to sleep?
When I grow up, I want to travel like Brian.
Well, I must say we've just come back from Cambodia. I've got a few hospital appointments because I've got a bit of a tummy problem, and then we're going to do a road trip across Europe, and then we're going back to Cambodia this year. So yeah, I have that's retirement for you, Mark. You'll get there eventually. Right. So DeepL, what is DeepL? There's probably a lot of you not even heard of DeepL before. So I'm just going to call up their website. DeepL is a dedicated high quality translation system. So it's not strictly AI, probably doesn't really fit within an AI application, but I put it in there anyway. What it does is it does very, very high quality translations, but with a limitation of it only does certain languages. So if I was to, for whatever reason, that's their website's playing up. What on earth is this doing? Yeah, I don't know what's happening here. Their website's being
I've just called it up and it's working for me, Brian. So with a hard refresh or something.
How bizarre, how bizarre. Okay, let's just try that in a different browser. Yeah, that's it. So you can see there's certain languages, quite a large array of languages, but that's it. It is limited to these languages, so it's got quite a lot of the main ones. So if you want a higher quality translation that you would get through a general AI, then DeepL will actually do that for you. So,
do you know how it compares to Google Translate? Presumably a lot better.
It's supposed to be a lot better, yeah, because it is written specifically to translate those particular languages are chosen in as higher quality as it can. And it uses different algorithms, and it uses natural language, and it uses taught language. It's allegedly, because I don't speak all the languages, I really can't say that how good it is or isn't. But it's supposed to be very, very good, yeah. I'm just going to so there's the DeepSeek interface. You notice these are all basically the big part of this is not actually the code to run it. The big part is the absolutely huge HJSON file that manages this interface and all of the triggers to turn off and turn on different parts of it. Sending it the question just as before, I've chosen DeepL. It will then give you the engine, which at the moment there is only one engine in there. You can set it to auto detect the language it's sent, or you can choose the language specifically. You can give it the language that you want to translate to. And again, a little bit like the AI stuff, you can tell it to be more or less formal. So you can change that to, and there is at the bottom there, a translate to override language code. Basically, that means is that if you don't know what language you want to translate this to, you want to send it from the App Connect end, you can actually send a language code to it, and it will override this setting and replace the language with the language code that you've sent to it. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of doing the translations. So if I find the right page, there we are. So if I go into DeepL Translate, I can literally just this is why I did all the stuff pre-typed. That's in English, and say I want that in, I'll do it in Greek, and then Tassos can confirm whether it's right or not. Hit submit, and there we are. We get the translation back from it, and that should be a very good quality translation. Can you just confirm that, Tassos?
Yeah. Yes.
Brilliant.
That's right.
Have we got anybody else that's an expert in any other languages? No? Okay. Let's just throw that up in Japanese for the fun of it then. And there we are. Very, very fast. That's the biggie as well. So if you are going to use this translation idea on your blog pages, but you could limit it to the languages offered by DeepL, then you will get a much, much faster and much, much better quality. I mean, it'll even translate between real English and American English, which isn't real English. It's sort of misspelled.
What about Australia?
Somebody's going to have a go back at me there.
Try Norwegian.
Norwegian. You want a bit of Norwegian? Let's go for it.
Yeah, seems right.
Yep. I'm far from bilingual, but I lived in France for 5 years, so I can sort of get by with the French, and that looks pretty good to me as well.
What about Australian, Brian?
Oh, Australian. Well, that's proper English, mate. That's English British, as opposed to pretendy English. I mean, English American. Well, actually, this could be a good little. What about what color is it in? What color is grass? Simple enough. And I want that translated from English to American. What it should do is change the spelling. Oh, it hasn't. Naughty. I would expect it to take in the U out of color there. But it hasn't. Maybe it's not as clever as it thinks. So yeah, that's what DeepL is all about. It's a really good translation matrix, shall we call it. And again, say if you're looking at a multilingual site, but you don't want to call in and pay a lot of experts to come in and produce the translations. I mean, AI does a good job. DeepL probably does a little better job, but at the end of the day, it does what you need to do, and that's the important thing, I suppose. Yeah. So, questions now, please, because I've run out of stuff I was going to demo.
Is this this is an extension that you've made for Wappler, Brian?
It is, yeah.
Is this available for us to use?
Yeah, it's been published for 6 months as an NPM. It's Node only. There is a post about it.
Well, shouldn't it be pretty easy to just use AI to translate it to PHP or .NET?
Yes, it probably would. And I mean, if you fancy doing that, you'd be very welcome. Yeah, my Chrome browser is actually doing some really bizarre things here because it doesn't want to play with anything. Yeah, there's a post in there. I'm just trying to find it. It gives you the full, install instructions, etc., etc. I'm finding, I don't know how the rest of you find it. I'm finding there's so much stuff now on the Wappler forum that I can't find even posts I've written myself, I can't find sometimes. So there's the post that you've got. Just looking up, actually, first released in July 24. So you've got the link to your NPM, you've got the instructions for installs, and a walkthrough. And there is also actually a walkthrough on the making of the extension, which explains how it was built as part of my Wappler extension series. So if you wanted to have a look and see how it's put together. But yeah, AI, as I said, would probably produce a PHP version. If it doesn't work, it's the debugging of it would drive me bonkers. But I sort of feel it's a little bit like putting a turbocharger on your lawnmower, so I haven't done it.
None taken.
Yeah, it's down to time, really. I mean, the truth is that, for all I'm retired now and I've got the time to do these things. It's also a little bit about motivation and enjoyment for me. And I get bored with projects. So I'll write a project and I'll get it working. And I don't really want to go back to it unless I have to. I want to go on to something else that's exciting. So it's difficult to motivate yourself to do that, I'll be honest. So, right. If there's any more questions, guys, I seem to have lost the chat somehow off my screen. So if there's anything in chat, I'm not seeing it. I don't know why it's disappeared, but it has.
There is one question. I'll be more than happy to read it to you.
Yeah, sure.
Nemanja is just learning Wappler. He's exploring the feasibility of developing an internal application with AI capable of responding factually to queries based on provided documentation. He asked if you could please outline the general steps required to achieve this within the Wappler framework.
Sorry, could you just give me that again once more, because that was a long question. And
it's a Wappler application.
Yeah.
AI capable of responding factually to queries based on documentation.
But specifically Word docs. So you'd have to be able to give the AI the Word doc.
Yeah, so that would involve basically uploading a Word doc to the AI and then passing. At the moment, I haven't got that facility at all within the Server Connect extensions. I would have to have a look and see how feasible it will be to implement that. At the moment, I don't have a solution for it, I'm afraid.
That was a good question, though.
Good question, yeah. Got me thinking now, that could be my next project. Certainly, it sort of fits in quite nicely with looking at, I've just started looking at using DALL-E. So we can generate images. So it's sort of that in reverse, isn't it? And rather asking AI to give us documents rather than uploading documents to AI. But it's a little bit of a different process when we're using image generation, because the AI works in a different way at the moment, where I pass a query to the AI, I wrap it in a promise. I can then sit back and wait for the response before the next line of your API action will run. So that makes life easier. But when you're sending a image creation request, what actually does is it passes a request and then it responds immediately, basically saying, well, that didn't really say much, but basically you get a action complete comes back from that promise, and the code continues writing. But at that point, you don't have an image. It possibly hasn't even been created. And then you'll see the response come through a few seconds later, confirming it. And what you have to do is you have to pick that image up through a webhook. So what we've got to do is I've got to send things in, create me an image of a rabbit wearing a top hat. It will send that back. And then you effectively have to end that request. And then you have to wait for the webhook to come back with the address of the image, which is created and ready for download on the server. And then after that, you will have to then download that image from the server, which I'm assuming the download file from server or API action extension that I wrote a year ago or thereabouts would be capable of pulling that image back down from the server. So it would be a 3-stage process rather than a 1-stage as we have now, which means that there's a bit more coding. There'll be a bit more user intervention in because they're going to have to write that webhook. I could sort of publish a generic webhook that people could use as a template, but they would have to write their own webhook to be able to pull the image down and then use another extension or to get the response that the image is ready, and then another API action or a step in the API action to actually download that image to their servers. Following that? Fairly straightforward, really, isn't it? Not. So that's currently what I'm working on now. So I'm just looking, we've got about 3/4 through the meet. If anybody wants to ask me anything about this extension, or to be honest, anything generally about Wappler, please feel free. No, everybody's happy. Well, I'm going to reiterate what I said before for anybody who's watching on video. If you join me today, somebody might have had a question to keep me going rather than saying, that's enough, back over to you now, Mark. So please, again, asking the question, if you've got the time to watch the video, why not try and make the time to come and join these meetings live, make it a proper community event, give everybody the opportunity to talk, to interact. And of course, you get the opportunity to ask that question that's probably in your head now, thinking, if I'd been there, I would have asked that. But you've lost that opportunity now. So come and join us next time and make it a really good event. So, Brian, Mark, unless if nobody else has got any questions, I'm happy to rabbit on as long as you want. But if nobody's got any questions, then I'll halt the share and go.
I do have a question.
Great.
You're using beta 20 now.
Yep.
What can you share your experience with using building sites with AI in Wappler beta?
I haven't used it a lot, I'll be honest.
I can jump in on this one.
Yeah, please do.
What I say is read the contents of this page and then create the meta tags that I need for my page to rank well in search engines. So it created the basic meta tags for description and content, keywords, whatever, but it did the ones for Twitter, it does the ones for Facebook. I mean, I got this many meta tags that just it looked at my data, created the tags for me. And I just went to each page, went through, ran that on each page, and I was like, oh, this is useful. Just doing tedious stuff like that is really amazing. And that's with the stock. That's just stock stuff from the Wappler. That's not from Brian's extension. That's just what you can do with the code now. I was trying to see if I could say, well, can you make my page ADA compliant? you know, the American Disabilities Act. You know, there's a lot of talk now about websites need to be ADA compliant if you're visually impaired or if you're, you know, have hearing problems, is that there's certain ways sites need to be so that they're, you know, so I'm like, hey, can you just go through and tell me what's wrong with my site so that it's ADA compliance. It's not quite to that point yet, but at some point I think it probably will be.
Yeah, that'd be a really, really useful use of AI to be able to do that. I know Ben often mentions about whatever the Australian equivalent of ADA compliant is. So he's obviously done a bit of work there, and it would be interesting to see just how Wappler can improve on that, because it is one of those things that gets put off the late and forgotten about, unfortunately.
There's excuse me, a website here that got sued because they weren't ADA compliant. So some of the another one of my competition, they're doing ads. Sorry, I'm choked up. They're doing ads about somebody getting sued and that you need to go through them because they know ADA compliancy better. So I mean, I think it's gonna be more and more of an issue.
I'm just waiting to see if you're actually going to live to the end of this chat here. But yeah, it's a really good idea, that one.
Yeah. Well, Bob is sort of like Keith Richards. He cannot be killed by conventional means.
That's right.
Oh, excellent. Well, Brian, that was a fabulous presentation. I am
Thank you.
Grateful. I want to give the audience here a chance to, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask, now's the time. All right. It's been a fabulous meetup. I am grateful for everybody that participated. We look forward to seeing you again next month. And I wish you all a very safe and prosperous month.
All right.
Be well. We'll see you on the forum.
Yeah.
Thank you,
see you next month with the hundreds of people that are going to come next month.
Thank you, Brian. Superb. And thanks again, Mark, for organising.
Amazing.